Welcome to this class on fluid mechanics. In today's class, we will be studying the differential form of the continuity or the mass balance equation. In the last class, we had seen the differential analog of Reynolds transport theorem. That is, we saw how the material derivative of any quantity is related to the local derivative of that quantity. And we got a relation of the form d by dt of any quantity is equal to partial by partial t of that quantity plus v dot grad operating on that quantity. And this quantity here can be anything, a scalar or a vector, or maybe even a second order tensor, and this relation will hold like this. Now, next we come to what we call the equation of mass balance as applied to any point. So far we have seen and we have applied mass balance to control volumes, and what we saw was that for steady flow and incompressible control volume with one inlet and one outlet, we got the mass balance in the form V1A1 is equal to V2A2. And this equation sort of becomes, once we solve it in problems of integral flow analysis, it becomes like a very, very basic equation. Of course, we should remember all the constraints under which this applies. And if you recall, this equation followed from the overall equation for mass balance, which was 0 is equal to d by dt of the volume integral rho dv plus integral on the control surface rho v dot n dA. So this is the equation of mass balance for a control volume. Now, to derive the differential version of this, we will shrink this equation to a point. That means we will take our control volume and we will shrink it and make it approach a point. So the way, and this we have seen in semi-differential analysis also. So to get differential form, we apply this equation on an infinitesimal CV, that is, let the control volume shrink to a point. And we will have a look at this a very mathematical way, but before that, let's look at a physical way of deriving this equation. So what we do is, let's consider this in 2D. The 3D extension can be very similar. So once again, what we do is, now because we have a differential control volume and we choose a control volume which is a rectangular control volume of delta x delta y, and z direction nothing changes, so we will say the dimension is equal to 1. Now here, if we place the origin at the center of the rectangle, actually it's a parallelepiped because its dimension is 1, but in a 2D planar view it will look like a rectangle, and we place the origin there. Now properties at the origin, let us write them as density, then u, v, so this is density, this is x component of velocity, and this is y component of velocity. Now we realize why we are considering only these quantities, because if you look at this equation, there is rho and there is the velocity vector. So now, if rho, u and v are the properties at the origin. So now on the right face, so when we apply this equation, we have on first, let's look at it. It's integral rho v dot n dA. So to calculate this, we have to go around the control volume on the surface. So there are four faces. So first we look at the right face. So let me call it A, B, C, D. So the right face is BC. Now the flux at the right face in rho v dot n dA, this will be equal to rho times x component of the velocity times dA on the right face. Now what we do is, if this product rho u is equal to rho u on origin, then on the right face, so let's call this as x flux, x momentum flux. So on the right phase, x momentum flux will be, and once again we use a Taylor series expansion, rho u at 0 plus partial by partial x of rho u, and this is to be now, and this thing, this is multiplied by delta x by 2, and if we have to calculate rho v dot n dA on the face BC, so this will be multiplied by the area, which is delta y times 1. Now rho v dot n dA on the surface AD, which is the left face, this will be equal to rho u at 0 plus d by dx of rho u multiplied by minus delta x by 2 times delta y times 1. And this v dot n, because u is positive, the flow is coming in, will be with a minus sign. So similarly, rho v dot n dA on the top face AB. Now here the momentum flux will be on this face will be equal to rho times v, and this has to be evaluated on AB. So this will be equal to rho v plus partial by partial y of rho v times delta y by 2, and the whole thing has to be multiplied by the area, which is delta x times 1. Well, here maybe I have interchanged the notation. Let's make it delta y, and let's make this also delta y, because let's stick with the consistent notation. So this is the momentum flux on AB, and momentum flux on CD will be the same thing, but now instead of delta y we will have minus delta y, so this will be rho v plus partial by partial y of rho v multiplied by minus delta y by 2 times delta x times 1, and this flux will come with a minus sign. So therefore let's just put this as like this, because here again the flow is coming in. So now when I add up these two x fluxes, rho u will cancel out and I will be left with the left fluxes will give me, so let's just check this, d by dx of rho u. So left fluxes will give me d by dx of rho u, and there are 2 delta x by 2, they get added up, so times delta x times delta y times 1. And similarly, when I add these two terms, I will get d by dy of rho v times delta x times delta y times 1. So this is rho v dot n dA on this entire control surface. Okay. And now if we look at the first term, d by dt of rho dv. So now this is a fixed volume, so d by dt can go inside. So this will become partial rho by partial t times integral over the volume. It's a small volume, so we write this as delta x times delta y times 1. And when we add up all these, what we get is partial rho by partial t plus d by dx, or partial by partial x of rho u, plus partial by partial y of rho v. All of these is multiplied by delta x delta y times 1 is equal to 0. And this leads to the fact that this quantity in the square brackets, partial rho by partial t plus partial by partial x of rho u plus partial by partial y of rho v is equal to 0. So this is what we get as the continuity equation, as the differential form of the continuity equation. This is in 2 dimensions. Now let's look at another way of deriving this. So the first way which we have seen was using a physical this thing, and now this way let's look at it. It will be a very simple derivation, but will involve a couple of subtle points. So first let's write the continuity equation, d by dt. We start from the integral form, d by dt of rho dv plus integral on the control surface rho v dotted with n dA is equal to 0. So now we use Gauss divergence theorem on the second term. Now the control volume we choose is a fixed control volume, but it is arbitrary. What do we mean by it is arbitrary? We have some flow which is there. We can choose any control volume V. So arbitrary means it can be anywhere in the fluid. It need not be at a particular location, and its size can be anything. It can be very big or it can be very small, and I can choose it here or here or here. Anywhere I can choose this control volume. But we choose a fixed control volume, which means the control volume is not changing. Okay. So there are 2 things we'll do. One thing we said was we'll use the Gauss's divergence theorem, but we'll also, let's look, because the volume is fixed, I'll use the divergence theorem in a minute. This term I can take, the d by dt can be taken inside the integral. And the reason we are allowed to do this is because this is a fixed control volume. So I get volume integral of partial rho by partial t dv. This is operation number 1. Operation number 2, we use Gauss divergence theorem on rho v dotted with n dA, and this will give me, this is equal to the volume integral of divergence of whatever comes which is dotted with the normal. So it gives me divergence of rho v dv. Now I add term 1 and term 2 together, so I'll get volume integral of partial rho by partial t plus divergence of rho v dv is equal to 0. And next what we say is, because the volume v is arbitrary and the integral is equal to 0, this will imply that the integrand has to be 0, because it holds for any arbitrary volume. Another way of looking at it is, you say you shrink this volume to a point and then also this should be valid. And so this gives us that the integrand, which is partial rho by partial t plus divergence of rho v is equal to 0. So this is the equation which we call as the continuity equation or mass balance and this is the differential form of the continuity equation. Now notice the form which we derived using a control volume and taking x and y as the velocity components, u and v as the velocity components, and in terms of x and y was partial rho by partial t plus partial by partial x of rho u plus partial by partial y of rho v is equal to 0. And the general 3D form of that is partial rho by partial t plus divergence of rho v is equal to 0. And this is the continuity equation. Now we can look at the different forms. Before I look at that, this equation is a very general equation. No assumptions have been made. So it is as fundamental as the system equation that mass is equal to constant. So unless you go into relativistic domains where you go to things like E is equal to mc square, this continuity equation will be valid. So it's a very general equation. So it's valid for all flows, for all conditions, 2D, 3D, steady, unsteady, compressible, incompressible. This is the form of mass balance equation. And there are two dependent variables here. In the continuity equation, there are two dependent variables, rho and the velocity vector. And actually, while I say two, if the velocity vector is three-dimensional, they may become four dependent variables. Okay. Now let us look at the different forms. So I continue this here. The first form we'll look at, let's expand del dot rho v. So this can be written as rho times del dot v plus v dot grad rho. Now this identity, you have to take it that this works. If we know the tensor notation, it can be derived in a minute, but we leave it like this. So therefore, the continuity equation, I'll use the sign CE. This becomes partial rho by partial t plus V dot grad rho plus rho times del dot V is equal to 0. Now notice V dot grad and del dot V are not the same things. We have seen this in the last class. Del dot V is a scalar, V dot grad is an operator. So, but we also know, again on the basis of last class, that the combination of these two terms is what gives us the total derivative of density. And so the second form of continuity equation which we get is d rho by dt plus rho times del dot v is equal to 0. So this is form number 2 of the continuity equation. Now let us look at a type of flow which we will look at in this course. In most of the course, we will assume the flow to be incompressible. So flow is said to be incompressible if particle density in the flow is constant. So if the particle density is constant, that means each particle in the flow does not change its density. In mathematical terms, this will imply d rho by dt is equal to 0. So therefore the continuity equation in this form becomes rho times del dot v is equal to 0, and there now the continuity equation takes a simpler form, del dot v is equal to 0. So this becomes partial vx by partial x plus partial vy by partial y plus partial vz by partial z is equal to 0, or if you are writing in UVW, then this will become this form. So this is the continuity equation. Now notice density in the flow is constant is a special case of d rho by dt is equal to 0. If density everywhere is constant, so this will happen if we have, let's say, flow of water in a channel or flow of air in a tube where air is under normal conditions. All these, in most of these cases, if flow of a gas, if pressure difference not very high in the flow, then we will just assume rho is equal to constant. Now, I have said that this is a special case of d rho by dt is equal to 0 because even when rho is not equal to constant, d rho by dt may be 0. But in this course, we will assume incompressible will imply that density everywhere in the flow is the same, it is constant. So for incompressible flow, the continuity equation becomes del dot v is equal to 0, and this is valid for both steady and unsteady flows. As you can see here that basically the flow could be unsteady because velocity could be a function of time. But all we require for del dot v is equal to 0 is that rho is constant. So in an incompressible flow, even if it is unsteady, that means velocity is changing with time, it has to follow del dot v is equal to 0. Now so this is one simplification. Second simplification we look for is, suppose, how does the continuity equation simplify for steady flows? Now the continuity equation, let's write partial rho by partial t plus del dot rho v is equal to 0. Now here when I say steady flows, the flow could be compressible. But because the flow is steady, then del rho by del t term will be 0. And for steady flows, whether we are not given if the flow is compressible, or if it is not given that the flow is incompressible, then for steady flow the continuity equation takes this form, which if we expand becomes d by dt partial by partial x of rho u plus partial by partial y of rho v plus partial by partial z of rho w is equal to 0. So this is the continuity equation in this form. Next, let's look at 2D incompressible flow. So we are looking at simpler cases. 2D incompressible flow, let us say we are talking of xy directions. So here now the continuity equation will become partial u by partial x plus partial v by partial y is equal to 0. So this is the continuity equation. If we look at incompressible flow in 2D polar coordinates. Now what are polar coordinates? If this is x and y, this is a point xy, then as you know, we have the other coordinates or cylindrical coordinates as we call them in AML in the mechanics course. If this angle which this position vector makes with x-axis is theta and this distance is r, we know r is equal to, in terms of x and y, square root of x square plus y square, and tangent theta is equal to y by x. Y is equal to r sine theta and x is equal to r cos theta. So in terms of x, y, this is how x, y are related to r and theta. Okay. So here now, if we look at the continuity equation, and I will give you a handout for this, the continuity equation in, so now here we will have the velocity vector will be equal to Vr Er plus V theta E theta, because these are our position vectors. If you recall, this is the Er vector, this is the E theta vector. So the continuity equation becomes 1 over r partial by partial r of r Vr plus 1 over r partial V theta by partial theta is equal to 0. Notice theta is dimensionless, whereas r has dimensions of length. So now this, once you write it in this form, then obviously both the terms have 1 over r. So this also becomes partial by partial of r Vr plus partial V theta by partial theta is equal to 0. So this is the continuity equation in the 2D polar coordinates when we have equation in this form. Now there's a mathematical trick which we use, and this you'll realize is just more of a mathematical trick, and I will explain what this is. If continuity equation has only two terms, that means there are only two velocities are there in the continuity equation for that flow, then what we can do is we can introduce a single variable psi such that we will define psi in terms of derivatives of velocity components. We'll define it like this. So this variable psi is such that the continuity equation is automatically satisfied. And how do we look at it? Let's look at an example. If suppose we are looking at 2D xy frame, then we have partial u by partial x plus partial v by partial y is equal to 0. So now let me first define. We define a function psi such that this, look at it the way I'm doing it, partial psi by partial y. So I look at the first derivative, first velocity component u. It has a derivative with respect to x, so I differentiate psi with respect to y. And partial psi by partial y I call as u. And then what I do is it's d by dy of v. So partial psi by this derivative is y, so I write it as x, and this I will write it as minus v. So I put a minus sign. Now you may find some books defining psi with u with a minus sign and v with a positive sign. If both of these terms have a positive sign, we put a minus sign on one of these. Now let us see what happens to the continuity equation. Partial u by partial x will become d2 psi by dx dy. And partial v by partial y, this will become equal to minus d2 psi by dy dx. So now when you add the two, so and there's a minus dv by dy is equal to this. So now when you say du by dx plus dv by dy, so when you say look at the continuity equation, du by dx plus dv by dy is equal to 0. This is automatically satisfied by definition of psi. So now it looks like we have reduced one variable. Why? Because earlier we had two variables u and v, and by using this trick we have converted them to one variable psi. But mathematically it may be convenient but complexity is not reduced. Why? Because we have increased the order of differential equation by 1. What I mean by this is, if there was a u term, it becomes a first derivative. So if the equation has a second derivative of u, we will get a third derivative of psi. So we have increased the order of the differential equation by 1. But it's convenient to define this function psi, and this psi which we have defined like this is called a stream function for 2D incompressible flows. Now if the flow is compressible, then a rho will also come in the definition of psi. Let us look at how to define psi in 2D polar coordinates. In 2D polar coordinates, which means we are looking at r theta, the continuity equation is partial by partial r of r vr plus partial v theta by partial theta is equal to 0. So I'll take psi, take its derivative. Here we have r. So I take its derivative with respect to the other variable, d psi by d theta. This I will put it as r vr. and partial psi by partial r. Now d by d theta, so I take psi by the other thing, I put a minus sign, is equal to minus of v theta. So therefore in these coordinates, in r theta coordinates, we get Vr is equal to 1 over r partial psi by partial theta, and v theta is equal to minus partial psi by partial r. And if you convert x and y in terms of Vx and Vy in terms of Vr and v theta, and x and y in terms of r and theta, you will get the same definition of psi which from the earlier definition. So this is how we define the stream function or the velocity derivatives, velocity components as derivatives of stream function, like this. So these are the two definitions of psi which we have done. So these are the two definitions. Now for this 2D incompressible flows, the function psi, which we are calling as the stream function, has a special meaning. And this will tell you why we call it the stream function. A line psi is equal to constant gives us, you have guessed it right, it gives us the equation of streamline. If you recall, we got the equation of streamline as dy by dx is equal to vy by bx or v upon u. Now let us look at it. If we try to look at it in terms of stream function, so this was for a streamline. In terms of stream function, a total change in psi, we can write it as partial psi by partial x dx plus partial psi by partial y dy. And on a line of constant psi, d psi is equal to 0. So therefore dy by dx of a constant psi line will be equal to minus of partial psi by partial x by partial psi by partial y, and this will be equal to v upon u or vy upon vx, and this is the same form as we get for the streamline. So therefore lines of constant psi gives us the different streamlines. So we put psi is equal to 1, we will get one streamline. We put psi is equal to 2, we get the second streamline, and so on. So psi is the stream function. If we know the stream function for a flow, then we just put different constants for these, and each of these constants will give us the value of one streamline. Now we can also find a second significance of psi, of the stream function. Let us say we have a streamline psi is equal to psi 2 and another streamline psi is equal to psi 1. So here now if I choose a vertical line AB, then flow rate across AB, which is a vertical line parallel to y-axis. So this is how my coordinates are going. So this will be equal to integral from b to a u dy multiplied by the width, because here the velocity because this line is vertical, so I have to just look at the Vx or u component, and the flow rate will be given by this. So once I have this, that means this u dy, u can be written as integral from partials, u is partial psi by partial y dy. This becomes equal to integral d psi, and psi on b is psi 1 and on a is psi 2. So this becomes equal to psi 2 minus psi 1. So I take the width on the other side. So what I'm going to write here is flow rate across AB per unit width is given by psi 2 minus psi 1. And what we realize is that if I choose a control volume and I choose here any arbitrary line CD, then the flow rate across AB will be equal to flow rate across CD. So between any two, so flow rate per unit width across any cross section, not just a vertical cross section, across any cross section between streamlines psi is equal to psi 2 and psi is equal to psi 1. This is given by psi 2 minus psi 1. So the flow rate per unit width between two streamlines is given by this value. So this is how one defines and one talks about these stream functions. Next, let us look at the condition of incompressibility in a bit of detail, or when is the condition of incompressibility valid. When is this condition of incompressibility valid? Now our equation is partial rho by partial t plus del dot rho v is equal to 0. This is the general continuity equation valid for compressible or incompressible flow. Now physically, which type of flows will be compressible? Compressible implies that the density in the flow changes. Now density could change either because of a change in pressure or a change in temperature. Change in pressure or change in temperature. Now, change in temperature, unless the temperatures change very drastically, density will not change. But a change in pressure can cause a change in density, and in particular, if we look at the flow, liquids are generally incompressible unless if they are subjected to very high pressure, but gases can be compressible. So the question which we ask is, when is del dot v is equal to 0 a good assumption for the continuity equation? Can we make some ballpark estimates? When can we treat del dot v is equal to 0? Now let's look at our continuity. Let's look at just one term, d by dx of rho u dx, and if the flow is incompressible, for incompressible flow, This is equal to rho times partial u by partial x. That means we are neglecting u times partial rho by partial x as compared to rho partial u by partial x for incompressible flow. So we are writing u partial rho by partial x. This quantity, order of magnitude of this, is much less than rho partial u by partial x. Now we want to see when is this valid. And here what we will do is, I will tell you something. One thing which we will learn later in the course, that partial p by partial rho, this is equal to a square, where a is equal to speed of sound. That means the change of density with pressure is related to the speed of sound in that medium. Now you must be suddenly wondering where the speed of sound has come, and we will tackle this when we talk of the compressible flow. So, but right now you'll have to take this, that partial p by partial rho, which that means I will write delta p by delta rho is of the order of a square. Now u which we had here, let us say, is of the order of velocity v, which is a typical velocity in the flow. We will be doing such order of magnitude analysis. It may look very crude now, but it will give us some estimates. So now what we also know is, for incompressible flow, which is what we want to treat or we want to find the condition, we have Bernoulli equation, and where in Bernoulli's equation we use delta p is equal to minus rho v dv. It's rho, we have p by rho plus half v square. So that is where in differential form this becomes delta p is equal to minus rho v dv. Okay. So now what we do is, we have this term u d rho by dx. This we will write as v, and d rho I am going to write as delta p upon a square, and there is a delta x, so I'll use 1 over delta x. So this is u d rho by dx, and for this I have used this equation. Now the second term is rho du by dx. So for this I am going to use rho will be rho, du by dx I will use delta v by delta x, and this I will also use delta interchangeably with dv. So now this I will write it as, now we'll take only the magnitude, so minus sign will not count. So we take the magnitude of this, and so this dv I am going to write it as delta p by rho v, and this is delta v, there's a rho already there, and 1 over delta x. So now what I have is v delta p upon a square into 1 over delta x is much less than rho upon rho delta p upon v into 1 over delta x. And when we cut out all the common terms, what we get here is v square upon a square is much less than 1. And this V upon A, this is what we call as the Mach number in a flow. In a flow, Mach number is defined as V upon A. This is one of the dimensionless numbers which we will talk of in the flow, and particularly when compressibility effects are important. So flow can be treated as incompressible if V square upon A square or Mach number square is much less than 1. Now V is a typical velocity, typical flow velocity of the same order. A is the speed of sound in that fluid. So if Mach number is much less than 1, flow can be treated as incompressible. So in gas flows, this is the typical rule of thumb which we will use, and much less than 1, it turns out if Mach number is less than 0.3, then we assume that the flow is incompressible, and this is what we will use. Now a word on some typical problems which you will encounter in this topic. The first type will be if we are given incompressible flow, if it is 2D, given Vx, find Vy. And here you will have to use the continuity equation, and you may need to use some boundary condition, because when you equate, your equation is partial Vx by partial x plus partial Vy by partial y is equal to 0. So you are given Vx, you differentiate that with respect to x, and so you get partial Vy by partial y is equal to minus partial Vx by partial x. You integrate this, you will get Vy is equal to this integral plus function of x. Now because this is a partial derivative, when you integrate, the constant will be a function of x, and this fx is what you will get from the boundary condition. So it could be either we could talk in terms of xy or in terms of r theta. Now sometimes you may be asked to check if flow is incompressible or not. In such problems, you will see if partial Vx by partial x plus partial Vy by partial y plus partial Vz by partial z is equal to 0, then flow is incompressible. So we are using it in a sort of a reverse argument. Earlier we said if flow is incompressible, then this is 0, but now we are using it in the other way around. If del dot V is equal to 0, then we can treat, if del dot V is 0, then treat flow as incompressible. The third type of problem could be to find things in terms of the stream function psi. So given Vx, Vy, or even given one of them, find psi and Vy. So you should be able to do such things. And once again, now when we find psi, psi is unique up to a constant. The stream function, because psi, the stream function always occurs as derivative. We have defined the velocity components as derivative of stream function. So stream function will always occur as a derivative, so you can only find it up to a particular constant. And you can choose this constant, choose this as something of convenience. For me, the most convenient number is 0, so I can choose this constant as 0. So these are some of the type of problems you will face and you will be asked to solve on this topic. Thank you very much.